I'm going to talk about a few practical steps that can be taken right at the start of most criminal cases. This concerns disclosure, and disclosure of three particular matters that can be obtained relatively easily. These are the police custody record, the record of any interviews under caution, and the initial disclosure of the prosecution case known as IDPC. In each of these three matters, it's helpful to have a secure government email address and access to the government egress system. So the first matter that's relatively easy to obtain is the police custody record, assuming of course that the individual has been arrested. It's possible to email the police and request the custody record. It's normally necessary to complete a pro forma that most police constabularies provide, to email that request across to them, and then it's usual to obtain that custody record relatively easily by email, provided that you have a secure CJSM government secure email address. The police custody record is exactly as it sounds. It is a record of what takes place or what has taken place whilst an individual is in custody. So from the moment that they are brought into custody to the moment that they leave. So it will include any care matters, any medication matters, what food or drink has been provided, whether the individual has slept, whether they saw a lawyer while they were in custody, whether they required the assistance of an appropriate adult. All those sort of matters should be recorded within the police custody record. So it is a helpful document because it is a record of all that took place, or it should be a record of all that took place whilst the individual was in custody. It will show who arrested them, what time they were arrested, and who interviewed them and what time they were interviewed. The second document that is relatively easy to get hold of is the record of interview, and increasingly these days that record is a video record. So again, it's possible to email the police constabulary concerned to request the record of interview under caution, and that can usually be provided on a government secure CJSM email account together with an egress account that is also required in order to open that file. It's then possible to watch the interview under caution, to make a note of what questions are put to the individual and what response the individual gives, whether they make no comment, whether they answer questions, whether they give a prepared statement. It's also a useful piece of information to have because it gives an indication of what's likely to appear at the IDPC. It's helpful because it's possible to request both the custody record and the interview under caution, even if a decision has not yet been made whether or not to charge, and therefore it's possible to obtain that information prior to a CPS decision whether or not there's going to be a prosecution, and that's particularly helpful if there's to be a further interview under caution. The other area that I wanted to talk about was IDPC, the initial disclosure of the prosecution case. Now, unlike the police custody record and the police interview under caution, the request for the IDPC is not usually made to the police. It is usually made on the government secure CJSM account to the Crown Prosecution Service. So it's usual to request from the CPS disclosure of the initial disclosure of the prosecution case, the IDPC, to the local CPS office, and that then is usually sent by secure email to the individual requesting the material, usually the defence lawyer, and that IDPC package that will normally include the charge sheet, the case summary, If the individual has antecedent history, so if they've got a criminal record, it will include that. It may include a summary of what witnesses says. It may even include some of the Section 9 witness statements of key prosecution witnesses. So those are three areas of disclosure on a practical level that it's relatively easy to obtain at an early stage. That's the police custody record, the police interview under caution, and the IDPC, the initial disclosure of the prosecution case. The custody record and the interview under caution are requested from the police. The IDPC is requested from the CPS. For all three of those matters, a solicitor should have a secure government CJSM account and also a secure government egress account, and it should then, in both examples, be possible to obtain those matters relatively easily from the CPS or the police.